Y'all know people is batshit crazy, right? Y'all know people are insane. And I know some of y'all have heard me say that on past videos, but the reason why I say it is because insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Do you guys know the reason why so many people get stuck in their own mindset? Do you know the reason why people do not ever make right decisions to change and elevate their life? Or even if they find specific avenues to grow, why they oftentimes go back to what they know and what they're comfortable of? It's because that's the environment that they grew up in, the environment that they were raised in. You see, there's a big debate where people say, does the environment shape who you are, or does your personality shape you who you are? Well, it's actually a bit of both. But the one thing that you guys need to understand, in 2024, the modern man is not being planted and not being developed in a soil that can grow. And that's why people are complaining that men are weak. People are complaining, that men are unstable emotionally. They don't have anything to learn, that they're soft, they're crybabies, because this society is not giving them the environment, the soil, the water, the nutrients, the light to allow them to grow and become a man. And I know this from experience. A lot of you guys look at me on this video and you hear the way I talk and convey myself, and a lot of you guys may be inspired by me. But you're looking at somebody who's been sowing good seeds for the last decade. If you guys was to meet me when I was 10 years ago, completely different person. Even though I had the same personality, I was different. I was oftentimes depressed. I was dealing with crippling social anxiety. I had trust issues. I had abandonment issues. I was dealing with a lot of different factors because I was growing up in a household that was full of chaos, that was full of turmoil. And it was essentially like being in a toxic wasteland. Every time I went home, there was an ominous presence of just sadness and negativity. And no matter who came within my path, no matter who was around me, I couldn't grow and I couldn't develop. And it wasn't until that fateful day, literally around 10 years ago, right around June, July, when I decided to make a decision that changed my life. And I left from that home with turmoil and chaos that didn't show me how to be properly loved. And I went into a better environment. And though the environment wasn't perfect, it allowed me to look at the world from a more positive aspect, allow myself to love myself and grow. And what happened is that I started to run into people and different opportunities that put me on a path to shape me into the man that I am. And a lot of you guys struggle in this life because nobody's guiding you, nobody's leading you, and nobody's telling you that in order for you to change, you must first change your environment. So that's going to be the purpose of this video. I want to break down the different components of what can allow a man to grow and a man to shape himself into being a great man, from going to living a life of a pawn to having the mindset of a king. I want to get into those aspects. Before I do, if you guys want content like this, if you enjoy this content, make sure you guys like the video. Comment down below anything that you want to see in the future. And also, if you're new, make sure you guys subscribe. Now, real quick, for those of you guys who want to understand the concept of growth, you have to relate it to the growth of a plant. And quick side, the reason why I talk and I convey and I use different analogies and things like that is because it's easier for men to understand the ins and out of something if they can relate it to something that's easy to understand. Because a lot of times we think that growth is complicated, but it's literally just like taking care of a plant. And when you take care of a plant, it's very straightforward and it's very easy to understand. That's why even Christ in the Bible, he would oftentimes speak things in parables and speak things that were easy to digest and understand for those who had an ear to hear and for eyes to see. So getting back to the main point, your growth is like when it comes to a plant. There are different and essential elements that a plant needs in order to grow. The first thing, it needs sunlight. The second thing, it needs water. The third thing, it needs nutrients. The fourth thing, it needs soil. The fifth thing, it needs space to grow. And the sixth thing is it needs the right temperature. And when you look at all these different elements, you can correlate it to something in real life. When it comes to the light, it's about your vision and your guide. When it comes to water, it's about knowledge. When it comes to nutrients, it's about specific understanding and skills of certain situations. When it comes to your soil, it comes to your support system. When it comes to your space, it comes to your freedom and your space to develop as a man. And when it comes to your temperature, it responds to the specific climate that you're growing in, right? So the first one we're gonna go over is the sunlight. So essentially sunlight, like I said, is just guidance. The reason why I was in a very dark place is because I didn't have a God. For those of y'all who don't know, my dad, he passed away when I was 8 years old. And when my dad passed away, I lost a lot of the masculine essence that he could teach me to become a man. Although he wasn't perfect, although he had certain demons, he was a good father to me. And when I lost him, essentially I lost a voice in my head that I could look up to as an example to teach me how to be an actual man. And that caused me to have bitch energy. It caused me to, be, hopelessly drifting throughout life and not really having any purpose. And it wasn't until I went online and I started to self-discover a lot of these different websites online teaching men how to be men in masculinity that allowed me to shape myself into the man that I am today, because I was just looking for guidance. The reason why a lot of men are lost in this world is because they lack a father figure, or the father figure that they have, he's very weak, he doesn't know shit, he's not teaching them anything. So they're just following in their deadbeat father's footsteps. So essentially, for those of you guys, if you want to grow, you have to come into an environment where you can receive light and you can receive guidance, because this world is a very, very dark place. And if you don't know how to, maneuver around many of the dark obstacles that will come in your mind, you will become entrapped, you will become ensnared, and you will live a life full of hell. So you guys want to have an environment where you can have guidance. And most importantly, you want to have an environment where it can give you a vision, not just specifically a vision as in 2020 vision, but a vision within your life. Within all the elements of your life, you want to have a vision, you want to have a purpose, you want to have a mission. And those different words, those different terms are terms that I learned from guys who I look up to, who are role models, who are describing the same thing. Essentially, the vision is like your blueprint, it's like your plan, it's like your strategy board, your chessboard for where you're gonna go and how you're gonna move and how you're gonna move everybody around you. And a man must need that. And one key aspect for those of you brothers who want to develop sunlight, who want to go to a place with sunlight, you have to stop being so fucking hard-headed. You have to sit down, you have to humble yourself, and you have to be willing to take advice from people who know more than you and who understand the world better than you. And that way you can sit and you can follow what they're telling you. Because no man is perfect. But if you're a dude 16, 18, 21, you don't know shit about the world. When I was 21, I thought I was hot shit. I thought I knew everything. And it wasn't until I sat down and I realized, bro, you're 19. Bro, you're 21. And I realized that I made a lot of stupid mistakes, that I was able to just sit back, calm down, and find guys who were actually giving me knowledge. And most importantly, finding guys who had good intentions, who could lead me somewhere compared to leading me back down into the place that I came from. Because you got to be able to tell the difference between people with good intentions and people with bad intentions. So that's the first thing that y'all need to grow, is you need a place where you can receive vision and guidance and light. Now, the next factor that you need if you want to have a good environment is that the environment must give you water. And water is just symbolic for knowledge. If you guys read the Bible, Christ talks about those who believe in him having rivers of living water, right? So I'm not talking about that specifically, but I'm talking about having knowledge of the world. Because, the reason why I was able to change my life is because I started to love and want to seek out different knowledge with all these different factors. It really started, I just really wanted to know how to get women. I wanted to know how to make myself more attractive so I could get beautiful women, right? So I would go on this one site and learn how to, talk to women. And then it would switch. And then now I'm at a site teaching me how to become a man and how to have a man's mindset. And then it got into how to start your own business. Then it got into how to manage your money. Then it got into how to learn how to sell and how to influence people. And to the point where I'm here right now. And I essentially developed a mind that loves to seek out knowledge. That's why all my videos are connected. If you watch my video 4 or 5 videos ago, I had a video essentially comparing knowledge to the ocean. As you start to get deeper and deeper in the ocean of of knowledge and wisdom, you start to separate yourself, because most people are too afraid to dive into deep topics within the world. And that's why they stay at the surface level. And that's why they do not receive a lot of the benefits compared to those who are deep seekers, deep thinkers, right? So essentially what you guys have to do is you have to come into an environment where knowledge is being promoted, because in many of our communities, people hate knowledge. Again, Grant Cardone said people would rather spend more money on their entertainment to feel good compared to gaining real knowledge within the world so they can elevate their mind, elevate their situation in life, and elevate the people around them. So you guys must come into an environment that loves to obtain knowledge, a place where you have people who are able to exchange knowledge, different websites that are teaching you knowledge, and not corrupted knowledge, but good knowledge, pure knowledge. Does that make sense? Now, the third thing that you're gonna need to grow in a good environment is you need nutrients. Because when you plant a seed, when you plant a tree, you can just give it water and light, but oftentimes specific plants need specific nutrients to grow faster and grow stronger. And this is symbolic of specific skills that you as a man are going to develop, because we're all different. We all have different gifts in this life. Some of us are greater with our mouth. Some of us are great with our hands. You know what I'm saying? So some of us are good with our hands. Some of us are good when it comes to crunching numbers, analyzing things, building things. So essentially, the nutrients is just different outlets that you can go to develop your skills as a man. And also, outside of just for you, it's good to have specific type of nutrients for specific types of situations, because in life you may run into legal trouble. You need to have baseline knowledge when it comes to, the judicial system. You may have your car break down. You need to know basics about how to deal when it comes to car issues. You may go into debt, and you need to learn about how it is to get a loan. Things like that. You might get sick, man. God forbid, but you might have a sickness, and you're gonna have to go to people who know how to treat illnesses. So essentially what's going to happen is that you are going to receive different nutrients from different sources that are going to allow you to grow properly. Now, the fourth thing that you guys need, and this is something that I'm gonna constantly reiterate for you young men, is that you need space. A plant needs space to grow. When you guys look at the ecosystem of a forest, the reason why trees constantly shoot up is because they need light, but most importantly, they need space to plant their roots. When you guys are in a very crowded family, or if you are in a somewhat toxic family or a toxic environment with your family, you don't have any space to be yourself. If you're around people who constantly criticize you and, pick at your different insecurities and different character flaws, what it often does is it stops you from wanting to spread out to become who the Most High truly made you to be. So a lot of times with young men, what happens is that if they're under their family's thumb or their family's rule, and their family is not giving them a great environment to be able to grow, essentially they go to different places. They get their own house. They might get a roommate. They might move to a different city. And essentially what happens is it allows them to space to grow, not just physically and your material things, but also to grow mentally, to grow spiritually, to grow psychologically. So it's very important for you guys to strive to move and live independently, because it's going to allow you to develop your character. One thing that allowed me to truly become a man is when I lived on my own. And I'm talking outside of roommates. I'm talking about when I was the one paying all the bills, taking care of all my things, making sure my house was in order each and every day. When I had my own place, that's when I really start to truly develop as a man. I could walk around butt naked. I could bring people over whenever I wanted. And it wasn't necessarily those things that allowed me to grow into a man, but it was because I was in my own space, in my own train of thought, that I was able to live on my own. And that's when I could finally say, okay, I'm really on the path to manhood now. And I could sit back and focus on whatever goals I had and whatever, ambitions I had. And there was nobody who needed to, wake me up in the morning. There wasn't nobody who needed to tell me, hey, get off your ass and get to work. I was doing it independently, and I was able to take care of my own self, which allowed me to understand that this is what it means to be a man. Because no matter how much you love your family and how great your family is, if you're not living on your own, it's just a completely different feeling once you have your own space compared to when you're living under your family's rule. Now, the next thing that y'all need, if you want to grow and you want a good environment, is you need the proper soil. The reason why so many people are being destroyed in America is because the soil in America is defiled. And when you're in certain situations where the soil is defiled, it doesn't matter how great of a water you have. It doesn't matter the amount of sunlight you have. It doesn't matter the amount of space you have to grow. A good seed cannot grow in defiled soil, period. And that's why you guys need to essentially move to a better aspect where you are able to grow. In this specific context though, I'm talking about your support system. The reason why I was dealing with so much stress in that time is I didn't have a proper support of people who could lead me out of that decision. I didn't have anybody that I could confide to. I didn't have any, strong friendships where I could go and explain to them my issues and they could understand and empathize with me, but also give me the strength to be able to overcome it. I had to learn a lot of these things on myself. I'm not saying that nobody helped me, but ultimately I was the main one who was guiding myself through. And it wasn't me, obviously, it was the Most High who was leading me. But from our 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional perspective, I was the one who, essentially had to gain these different people. So essentially when I left and I moved into a better environment, I had more family members supporting me. I eventually found good friends who supported me. I found good mentors who supported me. When I made certain decisions, I would run into certain people who could teach me and show me things about the world. And what I would do, I would just sit back and I would soak in the knowledge. I would soak in the game. And ultimately what happened is that I was able to establish roots. Because in order for you to have good soil, what a tree does is you establish roots within the ground, which allow you to grow bigger, taller, and stronger. So essentially when things came my way, I wasn't the small little plant that could get swept away with every wind, get swept away with every flood. And as I got stronger, I was more resilient to the things that were going on within my life around me. So one of the key things that you guys are going to need in order to grow is you need good soil, have good friends, have a good support system, have good guides, have good mentors, because that's going to allow you to grow into the man that you are truly meant to be. And the last thing is that in order for you to grow, you need a good temperature. You need a good environment. And I'm not talking about soil within your friends. I'm talking about the place that you're growing in. The reason why nothing grows in the desert is because it's too hot. The reason why nothing grows within Antarctica and Greenland is because it's too cold. So when it comes to us living in this human society, there are specific countries, there are specific cities that essentially do not allow people to grow. If there's no opportunities for you to make money, it's gonna be hard for you to grow. If there are no real opportunities for you to meet peaceful, like-minded people because everybody is strung out on drugs or everybody is, strung out on presidential debates, it's gonna be hard for you to be able to expand your mind, to be able to find the right climate for you to grow to the best ability that you can. And ultimately, if you're in a place that has a lot of chaos, it has a lot of confusion, and it's a dying climate, because also one thing you need to understand, there are specific areas in the world that have become dying climate with new seasons, with new events, things like hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts. And what do you have to do as a farmer, as somebody who cultivates foods? You have to move to a different area that has a better climate. So if you're in a dying climate, a dying country, a dying nation, sometimes it's better for you to go to a foreign land so that way you can grow. But make sure that you have a good climate that will allow not only just you, but the people around you who have the same mindset with the same opportunity to be able to grow. One of the key things for me growing as a man was leaving California and coming into Texas, because around the time of 2021, there was a lot of restrictions. There was a lot of economic restrictions that was stopping me from living the life that I wanted to live. And ultimately I had to grab my cojones and I had to have courage and I had to move to where I wanted to go, which was Texas. So a lot of you guys, if you're in a place where you feel like you have the tools, but it's a bad environment, you may want to move and go somewhere else because it might be a better option than you. So now that you guys understand the different elements that can allow you to grow within a good environment, if you're a guy and you're dealing with toxic people, toxic family members, and you have not been able to grow and change your mindset, I challenge you to come up with a plan to leave. I'm not saying you gotta leave today and go out and be homeless if you're not prepared, but I'm saying you need to find steps and formulate a plan to move out of that toxic environment. If you guys have bad friends who are not supporting you and not keeping you upright and not allowing you to grow, you need to uproot yourself from those different connections and go out on your own until you can find people with a like mind who are able to build you back up. If you feel like you're overcrowded in the city that you're in, that there's not enough space for you to grow, if you're in a home where you feel like you've outgrown that situation, make a plan to start to move into a place where you can dwell and have peace on your own. If you guys are around people who don't have any knowledgeable skills to help you out in life, and you find yourself constantly getting in bad situations where you're unprepared, start to reach out to people who can give you the proper skills and base knowledge to help you in situations like legal troubles, financial troubles, health troubles, etc., etc. And lastly, if you guys are in a bad environment that doesn't allow you to grow, I challenge you to open your perspective and think outside of what you know, and understand that there are many different avenues and many different opportunities for you to grow as a man. Don't be afraid to leave your city. Don't be afraid to even leave your country and explore these different lands to see if there's better opportunity for you to grow. And essentially, when you guys start to think this way and you start to move, you're not only gonna love yourself more, but you're gonna get into the habit of making decisions to make sure that the environment that you live in is never gonna be toxic, is never gonna be chaotic, and it's going to be shaped for the peace of yourself and eventually the women that you want within your life. And even if you guys decide to have kids, have a healthy environment for your kids to be able to grow into healthy and strong individuals. So that's the end of this video, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I hope y'all take it to heart. I put a lot of time into it. So make sure you guys like the video. Comment down below any other factors that you think allows for a better environment for a man to grow. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.